Fact is, there have been some incredibly talented comedy teams on the big screen. In the past decade, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly have made the world laugh. In the 2000s, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost made the world laugh while killing zombies or solving a murder mystery in a small town. In the 1990s, we had Chris Farley and David Spade. In the 1980s, we had Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. In the 1970s, Monty Python. The 1960s taught us that odd couples can be humorous, as long as the odd ones are Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. And then the 1950s gave us Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. The 1940s gave us Abbott and Costello, and many roads were traveled with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, also during the 1940s. But before all of these funny folks made the world laugh, there was one team making them laugh: Laurel and Hardy. So does Stan and Ollie deliver the story of Laurel and Hardy in their final years of entertainment, or are these two iconic comedians best remembered in their now classic films? Let's talk about it in this review. The story begins by showing us the relationship that Oliver Hardy, played by John C. Reilly, and Stan Laurel, played by Steve Coogan, have. We also get a glimpse into their professional life as well, as we see them negotiating contracts for more pay, running lines of dialogue, writing new skits, and rehearsing. And finally, we get to see who they are with their wives and how their friendship has actually lasted longer than any of their marriages. In general, I thought this film did a great job of showing us the true spirit of the men Laurel and Hardy. The movie primarily focuses on these two men later in their professional lives and careers. We can see that at one point they were Hollywood's biggest stars, but now their celebrity is waning as they're being replaced by new faces like Abbott and Costello. They're still recognizable, they still carry a household name in a post-World War II Britain, and they're both hoping that this new tour that they're on for live stage performances through the UK will help land them a new movie deal, or so we think. The magic of this film, though, isn't revealed until close to the very end of the movie, where we see Stan and Ollie actually having a conversation about how Stan knew that the movie wasn't going to happen before they even left on this tour. And Oliver knew that it wasn't going to happen because of how well he knows Stan. And that's when the magic of this film pops through, because we find out that this film is absolutely about them. It's about their friendship, and it's about their love for working on stage and on screen together. This film really isn't about the tour they're on. This film really isn't even about their careers or how many times they've been married. This film explores the relationship that these two men have, both as friends and colleagues. The performances given by John C. Reilly and Steve Coogan were transformative. And I know I've used that term in other reviews before, and it's just as appropriate right here in this review. Both John and Steve did such a great job performing these characters on screen together, I believed I was watching Laurel and Hardy. I didn't realize they could pull off such powerful performances, but they did, and wow. Big kudos to director John Baird for being able to bring together this story, bring out these performances from these actors, and really deliver a film that never once lost its charm, its comedy, or its heart. There are some dramatic moments that absolutely tug at the heartstrings, plus there's plenty of laughs. And the pacing of this film overall was done very well. It didn't matter if we were jumping back in time to the past or whether we were talking about the present happening right now in the story. Everything moved very smoothly and nothing ever felt odd or disjointed or weirdly placed. Another strength this film has was actually being able to see the live performances that Laurel and Hardy give on stage during this tour. I thought that aspect of the storytelling was genius. We know that a big portion of this story is them on tour, performing for audiences that continue to grow in size. So actually being able to see them perform the skits that we see them running lines for and rehearsing, again, genius. The believability that John and Steve were able to bring out in recreating these characters for us on the big screen is one thing. However, watching them recreate these characters while also recreating the skits that they were doing is something completely different, and I thought they did a phenomenal job across the board, being able to see their on-screen chemistry as well as their on-screen while on-stage chemistry. They just knocked it out of the park. This was probably my favorite aspect of the entire film, was being able to see them on stage recreating these characters, plus also recreating the skits. So again, on-screen, on-stage chemistry. Loved this aspect of the film. Stan and Ollie is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am absolutely recommending a big screen viewing of this film. When I left the theater, it felt like my heart was smiling. That's how much I enjoyed my time in the theater with this story. The acting, the recreating the skits, the story, it's all just done so well. In this film, we get to see them both at their high points when they're performing on stage together, and at their lowest points when Oliver gets sick, and Stan has to make the decision on whether or not he's going to continue the tour with somebody else. This film really runs the gamut of emotions, and it does it really well. And it also shows us something very important about these two men is, yes, they loved making the world laugh, but even more than that, they loved making the world laugh together. I believe this film achieved everything it set out to achieve and more. And again, John C. Reilly and Steve Coogan are absolutely brilliant in their performances in this movie. So because of all of these reasons, Stan and Ollie is getting all the high fives from this guy. Stan and Ollie is playing at your local movie theater right now. Definitely go check this one out.